I approach working with parents of children and teens with ADHD differently than a lot of what you'll find out there. And probably when you've exhausted searching Google and applying different information to Chat GPT to extract research and what's known about these 504 plans or what to do if my child is actually doing well in school, but I think could have a different experience. Well, that's the type of work I do. I come in with the perspective of the school leader, right? The principal, the district office, the folks who are working with all the different classrooms and systems and have seen so many different families and children. And I come into work to think, how can we update things in the classroom, make it doable for the teacher or teachers the student has, but more than anything, I come in with a desire to flip the way we look at ADHD into something entirely positive. So let me give you an example. The traditional model is a little bit formulaic. We have federal law of Section 504 of the 1973 Rehabilitation Act, which provides a protection for students with physical or mental disabilities that substantially limits a major life activity. So that's the law. There's a federal law, but how it trickles down to the actual interpretation is unique to every school district, to even schools, even the actual people that are within your child's school system. There's a lot of interpretation. And while, yes, there's legal guidance from county council and different people who have a lot of expertise in systems, it is really varied across the board because people in the school end know we have a 504 plan, we have to follow it, and we've got to meet this compliance. And sometimes that's where it stays. And there's a lot of misinformation about if a child is doing well in school, can they actually have a 504 plan? Yes. If certain disabilities, are you eligible for it? Yes. There's even lots of questions about, school avoidance or different behaviors that could be a way that someone's ADHD or anxiety presents. And just we haven't brought schools up to speed to really understand what we know about how different each person's experiences, that there's not kind of a one way that ADHD shows up. And so you have this formula, this way of we have plans, we put them in place, they look like this, and you move kids along. And now what we know is that the formula in many cases is not right. It was an old formula, it's outdated and hasn't been updated. So I work with families and the schools to say, okay, what do we know about this young person? And what do we know about what's happening in the classroom? So let me give you an example. This is a very quick one and kind of minor, but a student's missing deadlines. They're frequently missing assignments and getting behind. And so the school's answer, let's say in middle school, is let's have a planner. It could be upper elementary, could be high school, give them a planner. Well, the pushback on a couple levels from the school, the pushback is we gave them the planner. I can't be expected to monitor that they're using it in their 6 classes throughout the day. Or the pushback is we just don't have time to teach that and they're not using it. They're not using the planner. They're still missing assignments. The pushback from the student is I got this notebook and other than write things down, nothing's really different for me, right? And they can't necessarily, I mean, some middle school students are going to tell you that very clearly, but they might not necessarily know that's even the problem. And you as a parent are sitting there kind of trying to have this daily battle about, okay, what was the assignment in class? What is it looking up on the online systems? They're all different. This is where our traditional approach to supporting students with ADHD is really falling flat. It does not work. It doesn't work for anyone, right? We haven't changed the skills and how that young person is learning how to take in the information, chunk it for themselves, use a system that allows them to shift their focus onto this. We've just said, here's a tool, or everything's online. And we're missing this key piece of information, which is we know executive functioning. We've learned so much about this. This is an opportunity to see what this person needs. Now, how is that doable in the classroom? I can't do, if 35 students in middle school times 6 periods, I can't do 35 individual lessons. You don't need to. Again, I work with families and with schools, and I work with the families to work with schools on things like, well, what if there's a quick 2-minute planner check for the whole classroom? And the teacher just builds that into the opening or closing routine. Make sure that's there. I know out of any classroom, that teacher has probably 3, maybe 5 students that they're wondering if they're actually tracking their assignments and need a little help. One of them might be your child who has a 504 plan and diagnosis of ADHD. But that teacher in that routine can walk down the aisles, just looking through the desks, and has on their mind to look at those certain kids and make sure that they have it down. Another way to do it, 2 to 3 minute copy the thing down, and you have buddies. You have students who are accountable. Make sure they have that. You build it into some sort of closing activity. The student with ADHD who is learning a new system to track their work does need the time and the explicit modeling and the small discrete steps to learn it. Over time, you gradually add more to the routine, you gradually release what the adult is doing to set it up. But you don't do that just because you had a great idea to have a planner. It has to be supported. And so that's where the traditional model of a lot of accommodations doesn't take into account the fact that we are looking at this as a learning outcome. We are looking at, how do I teach this student either how to navigate the time management of 6 different class changes in middle school, or how do I teach the student to navigate their own emotional fluctuations throughout the day, their own energy level fluctuations, their own peer instigated or subject matter? How do I change something in the school system to be more supportive of the students with ADHD? I guarantee you it will help other students too. There's this idea that if I have to do this for this one student, it's going to hold other kids back. I guarantee you, if a teacher were to implement a just routine standard way of getting things down on the planner, standard way on the board, or projecting it, I guarantee you the kids that don't have need it because they've already got a planner system, they're fine. It doesn't slow them down at all. But a wide net is cast for the majority of this class that probably does need it. And so there's some series of small things that we can hone in on about what your child needs, and then think of how to put that in place in school, and then communicate with school of that. And I bring this unique perspective because I know how schools work. I honor teachers, I honor administrators. I want them to have a fluid day. I want them to get what they want, which is kids who are learning and having a great day too. That's one thing to keep in mind, a new approach to working with ADHD.